Awesome. Awesome. Gang's all here. Happy to see you all. Uh, Start in the order that people arrived. I guess I saw Nathan Howard first. You wanna start?
Oh, is this just for like the like you checking in our project progress?
Yeah, yeah. So how are you doing? Are you doing okay on your project? Are you having any problems with the course?
I'd say I'm doing pretty good. I will say the one thing I guess that is a little confusing for me, like I have like an idea of what I want to do. Like I did the ideation with friends, and I think I'm just gonna run with that. But as for how like
Great.
this whole thing is like organized, I feel like I'm getting a little lost when it comes to like running things from the terminal because I've done projects, but they were in like IDEs. So I'm confused as to how this is all gonna connect together.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, that's something that everybody's having trouble with. Would you mind doing a little demo for us? Could you share your screen and I can show you exactly what you need to do to run your program or import your program or test your program.
Yeah,
That'll be
sure.
a good help.
I can share my screen. I just have the you just need like the terminal or you just
Be good if you share your desktop so they can see your Sublime where you're
yeah,
writing
yeah,
your file,
yeah.
so they see everything.
Yeah, let me how do I do this again? Oh, here it
Is
is.
that developing the mental model of how things look, where files are on the command line and where they're shown in some sort of a GUI like Sublime Text or your File Explorer. That's a really important mental model to have for anybody working on the computer.
Okay.
Okay, great. So you got a nice program. You got the first two assignments for the midterm project done, and looks like everything's in order, like that in order assignment. Go to the bottom so everybody can see that name equals main. Just so you know, everybody knows that under dunder name dunder or double underscore name double underscore. That's a hidden variable you can play around with in a Python console. And so we'll do that right now. Could you switch to a terminal? Awesome. Looks like you're on Mac, so everything should be
Oh, here, let me
pretty
usually I can try and do this and then okay, here we go.
beautiful. So this will be the equivalent of get bash for those of you on Windows. He's just launched his terminal, and that's all you need on Mac. So do you happen to know where that file is saved, that in Howard file?
Yeah, I believe if I like this is how I kind of learned to run it.
Great,
And then it's
great,
something like this. I think. Oh, maybe I typed it wrong.
perfect.
Uh,
I
it's in the
think you should
code. It's
a
in like
good
a
a good
folder
habit.
called like code, something like that.
This is the key skill you need to have. Whenever you CD into a folder, you need the first command you need to type is ls because you need to list
LS.
the
Okay.
files. It's like a text adventure where you look around as soon as you go through a door.
Okay. It's LS.
Yep, and so it does look like it's there. So type that command again, Python 3, and just type in and then tab,
And then N and then just tab.
and then hit your tab character. Yep, maybe double tab. There you
Oh,
go,
okay. There we go. Yeah. Just once. Yeah.
and then hit enter, and you're good to go.
Okay. Yeah. Now it's running.
Great. So you want to quit the game, make sure your game is working, make sure it's possible for you to quit. Awesome.
There we go.
It was great. What's one more command that can help you when you're navigating your computer? So you know how the look around command, the ls command, you know the cd, which is go through the door command, go to a change directory command. What about telling you where you are on a map, like your GPS command? Do you know what that is from the command line, from the terminal? It's one other command you learned in the assignment on Git Bash.
Uh, does it have to do with like a specific? character? Like a is there like a key like character for it or something?
It's a command like CD and LS. It's an abbreviation for something much longer. In this case, it's an abbreviation for print working what? What do you think that last word is? It's a three-word command, but it's three letters. Print working what? PW what?
Uh, I honestly couldn't tell you. I really only got the I guess
What
like
is
the
this
C
thing that you're in right now in the terminal? You're changing. What was the first command? The first command was CD. What is that an abbreviation for? I said it while you were doing it.
uh CD
Change what?
oh change directory some change.
Perfect. Perfect. You're changing your directory from where you are in your home directory to code.
Okay.
And what about PW what do you think it's going to be? You're going to print, you're working what?
Is it just another D or is it
Yes. And what does that D stand for?
directory?
Perfect. So type it and hit enter. Awesome. So now that's a great way to figure out where you are on the map. It gives you the full absolute path. You could also do CD to slash users, Nathan slash code, and you'd be in that same directory. You can do it either relative to where you are, just like going through a door, or you can take a wormhole and a portal and just go straight to it from no matter where you are with the absolute path. That's the difference between an absolute path and a relative path. And those are all key concepts you need to know. And those three commands you can use anywhere in a terminal that's Linux compliant. Great. Uh, who's next? You can stop sharing your screen unless you have any more questions.
No, I think that was my biggest concern.
I should have gotten. Actually, I took a recording of that. Do I have your permission to share that
Oh,
recording?
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll use that for the course material. Um, who's next? Let's see. I think Tim was on my list pretty early in the login.
Yeah, I can go.
How's your, how you doing?
Good. I haven't done like too much work into it, just like the basic stuff, like the if name thing and the text classifier. And then I
Can you
was do
go
more
ahead?
work onto like the actual like details and like creative stuff like this week.
Okay, great. Could you explain to me what you understand about what that name equals main did to your program? Did you notice anything different happen when you
It
added
did
that
to
to your
my
program?
program. Like,
Yeah, yeah. When you change, didn't you add it, name equals main to your program?
yeah,
Did you notice anything different when you ran it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you shouldn't have. So why the heck did we do that? If it doesn't do anything, why did we do it?
It's for when other people look at it, I think.
Yeah, it's for when I look at it. What am I going to do with your program that's different from what you're doing?
Uh you just want to look at it, I think.
No, I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to run it, but I'm going to
Oh
run it
yeah.
a slightly, I'm going to run it a different way. I'm going to run each of your functions separately. I'm not going to run the whole program because most of your programs are going to break. And so I don't want to play your entire game. I want to test some of your functions individually. That's called what's called a unit test. When I test a unit of your program, rather than testing the whole program, I want to test a piece of it. What do we do when we want to run a function that somebody else has created? Have y'all run any functions that somebody else has created?
You have to import it.
Perfect. Exactly. So I'm going to import your program rather than running it. Awesome. I'll let everybody else help with the rest of that stuff. I think Eric was on early as well.
Yeah, hello.
Uh, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. It's been a crazy week.
Great. What? can I help you with on your program?
I actually had the same question as the last guy with the name equals main. That
Great.
stuff I wasn't quite getting it,
Gotcha.
but yeah, it
Tim,
kind of answered my question already. So,
awesome, awesome. Uh, I guess I'll ask you a question. Where have you used that import word before? Have you used that import word before?
import,
Yeah.
yeah, like import string.
Oh, yeah, right. You saw that import statement that I did in one of the exercises. And then
Mhm.
how did you access the functions or variables within the string module? After you
Within the
imported
string
it,
module.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So after you imported string, did you run anything or use anything that was inside of string?
I'm assuming. I mean, I just started like typing away and stuff started working, and it
Well,
didn't work if I didn't do it. So,
so let's check it out. So demonstrate it for us. Show us what you did and show us what you're
oh
going to do
man.
whenever you're trying to use somebody else's module or package. And while
All
he's
right.
while he's getting set up, Tim, can I share your video as well about that import name equals main stuff?
Yeah, 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 definitely.
Awesome, thank you. You can share your screen or,
Yeah.
and I think for you, we'll probably only need the terminal window, so you don't necessarily have to share your entire desktop.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do is fine.
Uh, let's-
Matthew, while he's going, I think you were next. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. I was getting really lost in the weeds on how um, you pass an argument from, say one function to another so that it will make that second function start to, come alive, to work.
Great. I've got a good exercise that'll help you with that and getting developing your mental model of how functions
Okay.
work and how you change the inputs and the outputs and how you pass. You're not passing the arguments from one to the next. You're
Okay.
passing the outputs of one function run on some inputs arguments to that output goes to a second function as the input. So it's like a pipeline. You're going from inputs to outputs on each of your ends of the pipe. Um, Great. So you import a string. What are you going to do? How are you going to run something in it or find something in it or do something productive? And could you make it a little bit bigger? Control Shift Plus will make the text bigger.
oh,
Uh, you can need to just type Q now to get out of there. Oh, great. Awesome.
is it better?
Yeah, maybe one more plus would be nice. That way I can crop it and it'll look good on the video, assuming I can share your recording as well. Could you hit Q, please? Or Control C? Great. I think Q here will also quit. Q enter, maybe. Great. Uh, so you've imported string. Um, what has happened to your workspace here, your environment? Has anything been created in your environment here in Python? Or any variables, any objects?
No, I mean it didn't change. Well, yeah, I mean I guess it downloaded the information, right? Or imported it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean,
it loaded it from disk. So it loaded that module from disk into RAM and
okay,
into your environment. Now, what do you think it named that thing that object that you just imported?
string.
Great. So how are you going to discover what type of object that thing is?
Um, oh,
You did help. That's a great tool. So that's one of the three tools that I'm going to recommend you use whenever you're working with something new. So that help function told you that, oh, this is a collection of string constants. So it's going to contain a bunch of constants that might be useful to you.
I'm
What can
wanting
you
to say
figure?
like classify or no,
Almost.
uh, what's it called? Shoot.
Kind,
No,
it's
it's
another word for kind.
type.
Perfect. Awesome. So the kind of object is given to you by the type function. So use the type function, and it should output a string that tells you what type of object it is. Actually, it'll output um, the class of the type. So that includes the string name for it. So it's a module of type string. Sorry. The type of string is module. It's a class module. Everything is an object, so everything is a class. So it's going to always use that class whenever you use the type function, that class keyword. Okay, next. Do you know of any other objects that are in your namespace besides string? Anything that's there that you don't have to import?
Oh, anything like
I
those
just want,
like functions?
yeah, anything. Just use that type function again on something else. I don't care what it is. This is the playful Python skill you really need to develop, where you just make shit up. And sorry, excuse my French. And you try to figure out what things are. Ooh, ooh, that's going to be a tough one. Interesting. Now,
We
see,
got to import
that's
math, don't you?
exactly great. So you're
Yeah.
figuring it out, and you're discovering all the kinds of bugs that you're going to eventually encounter in your actual code. So if you don't import math and you try to use math, it's not going to work. One last thing. So how can we use string productively? So you now know that it's a module, and you know that it contains these under that description section in your help that you just did. By the way,
Mhm.
the third fun thing to do or exploration thing to do is like the ls command. It's to use the print command on any object just to print out. It'll usually display something pretty similar to the type command or the or just typing it alone on the screen, but that's often a useful thing to get a little bit more information. Like you can see that it tells you exactly where that code exists. So if you ever want to see some
Okay.
really good Python code, you could visit that path in your console and display that file in Sublime or however you like to display text files. Uh, Many of the built-in functions, unfortunately, are written in C, so they might not be as much fun to read. But
Gotcha.
so print, type, and help. I'm going to ask the rest of you those same questions to make sure you've grokked them. But the last thing is now what do you get? There's a fourth way that doesn't involve any function you're going to run, but it does involve a key you're going to hit. It's a key that one of the earlier students, Nathan, used in his exploration on the command line. It works both inside of Python as well as in the terminal. So there's a key that you want to hit when you're playing with that string object. So let's go ahead and type string, and then let's see what you can think of to do with it. It's not a function, so you don't type parentheses here. What do you type at the end of a module name in order to access the things that are inside it?
Uh,
It's a character on your keyboard. That's a good idea. That might work in some languages, but it's not going to work in Python. It's slightly different than that. It's about half that size. It's half of that punctuation mark. Perfect. Now hit your tab character.
no.
Oops. It's not complete. It joins it to something else. because it's not unique, it's going to ask you to hit tab twice to make sure, twice in a row, to make sure you really want to print out all the different things that are there. But if you type the first few characters of something that only spells one of those things, then it will auto-complete to one of those things. So pick one of those things and start typing it, and then hit tab again.
Okay,
Or
so
hit tab. Oh,
okay.
weird. I've never seen that before. Go ahead and hit enter, see what happens. Okay, that's not super useful. That's creating a class called capital F formatter. I didn't notice there was anything that started with an F that was interesting to me in that list. I like the lowercase ones because they tend to be variables that I understand.
Oh,
Look at one of them that looks more, there we go. Hit enter.
ah, cool.
It's a string that contains the digit characters in case you want to, because all of these things are going to be strings and they're going to give you subsets of all of the characters that you can possibly use. So it's a great way to process strings is to have access to this list in case you want to detect whether a particular character is a digit or a letter or a punctuation or one of these things. Now that's interesting. Uh, so hex digits, of course, go A, B, C, D, E, F. And it doesn't matter whether they're lower or upper, so it gives you both of those as well as 0 through 9 to give you a total of 16 digits, though
Yep.
the A capital and lowercase are equivalent. They're the same digit. Awesome. Discovered a lot. I didn't even know about that hex digits. Um, any other questions? Do you understand a little bit more about how importing and modules work?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Great.
So
I'm going to
I'll have
give
fun
somebody
playing with
else
this.
awesome. I'm going to give somebody else a follow-up question about what you just did. Can I share your video?
Yes.
Sweet. I think it was Matthew who was up next. Um,
Yes.
can you stop sharing, Eric? And you were confused about inputs and outputs of functions. Let's do that. So let's import a function. Let's continue what Eric was just doing, but this time we're going to use the math package module, and I want you to import a function from the math module because I know there's a lot of functions there. There's not any functions in string.
Okay. Oops.
You can share your screen whenever you like.
Oh, duh.
There's a lot of really cool functions in math. In fact, there's a lot of really cool math functions built in so that we can do inputs and outputs and connect them together in a huge pipeline. It's like the product rule in math or just chaining things together. But it's going to be more like you're used to in like an algebra class where you're using parentheses. The order of operations, the order that those functions are run will depend on how deep they are inside of parentheses.
Hey,
That's
Professor, this is the first time I'm sharing screen on Zoom, so I had to enable it in my security settings, and it's asking me to quit Zoom and restart. So,
great. We'll see you in a sec.
okay.
Aaron, you can go next while we're waiting for Matthew.
How you doing?
Good. Great. How are you?
Doing good. I mean, I feel like I've missed definitely a few assignments back there. Missed about module. I've just been slammed with school and work, but I'm trying to keep it up. Trying to keep it up.
Great. Great, great, great.
It's
What about
going.
the learning? How much Python do you know? Can you
Yeah,
help
to be
Matthew
honest,
out?
I pretty much run I run to Runestone and look at the textbook for pretty much everything. Like I just keep going back and forth, trying to catch up. But
Okay, you can save yourself a lot of work if you just start using the Python console and just exploring around. You can learn real fast, and you can write your programs and learn at the same time if you use
yeah,
those three techniques or four that we've just talked about. Can you remember the four things you can use in the IPython or the Python console uh, where you can get some assistance? I almost said the
uh,
word.
didn't you say there were three or four? It was like text, or print or
Print is one. Good.
was
Not
it the
text, but
W and D and the PWD term you were referring
those are
to?
for the terminal. Those are for the bash or get bash terminal. That's for when you're working with files. You need to use ls, pwd, and cd to move around and check where you are,
Okay.
and just like a text adventure. But once you're in the Python console, do you bring up your console real quick and make sure you know what I'm talking about. When I say Python console, you should all know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different ways people describe that thing. Some people even call it the REPL, which means read, execute, print, loop. That's what you do in a Python console. You read the code you just typed, you execute by hitting enter, and that prints to the screen the results of what just happened, and then you loop. You go back to the beginning and do it all over again. That's the cycle and that reading part is really, really important. Don't just type it, but after you've typed it, reread it and try to predict what it's going to do when you hit enter. And then when you hit enter, that will trigger in your brain friction when your prediction is not correct. And that will cause you to learn what actually happens and learn to run the code in your head. And that'll help you type better code in the future. So let's do that right now in your Python console.
Yeah, it's doing the same thing as the last guy where I have to quit and join back in just due to I had to change
Great,
my setting. But
great. I'll give Matthew a chance to go.
all right, cool. I'll join right back in.
Thanks. Can you share your screen, Matthew?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's expand that text. Oh, you've already got it running. That way, the other student can't cheat and see what you did.
Yeah.
Awesome. Make it Control Shift plus or Command Shift plus or just plus. I'm not sure what it is.
How's that?
Awesome. Perfect. A little bit bigger, please. And then now you asked to run functions. So do you know of any functions that are built in?
Print.
Great. Let's use that on something. Awesome. Now use it on another function that's built in, without running the function. Do you know of any other things that are built in? Eric used a couple of them. Yeah.
So
You go ahead and hit it on that one, but use your active learning to predict what's going to happen. What do you think it's going to do when you ask it the type of nothing?
probably will give me a nothing answer.
Good. Hit enter. No, you're wrong. It should give you an error because it requires a positional argument. So this is your first understanding about functions. Sometimes they require an argument and sometimes they don't. Type is one that does. And so put something else inside parentheses. There's another keyword that you know exists, another function name that you know exists in this. Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But this is gonna be an interesting one. You're gonna get another unexpected result here.
Huh.
You notice that it did not say integer or int. It said type. Because you did not create an integer, you did not run the int function. You just gave it the name of that variable, that name of that object. And so it's an actual type itself. There you go. Now I would like you to run either one of those functions on the other function, just like you did on int. I would like you to run type on print or print on type. I don't care. And I want you to, again, predict what's going to happen when you do it.
So
First, no, I want you to run it the way you did it on int the first time, where you did not go type print. Good. I don't want you to run the print function. I want you to run the type function on the print function. No, that's running it. Whenever you put parentheses, you're running it. That's the difference between, go ahead and close your parentheses, please. We're giving the type function as an argument, the print function, just like you did above when you gave the type function the int function as an argument. What is it going to output this time?
I think it will tell me it's a function.
Excellent. You got it right. Hit enter. And I'll also tell you a little bit more. It's a built-in function. And the words function and method are synonymous in Python because everything is attached to an object. Even the built-in functions are attached to the built-in module. You can even import it if you'd like. Import built-ins, just so you know that that is a thing. Import, perfect. Perfect, enter. So you can now just type built-ins alone on the prompt. It's equivalent to saying print built-ins. It lets you know that that's a module that you just imported. Can you guess what's after the dot in that built-ins thing? Actually, I think I got this wrong when I did it myself, but let's not worry about that. That's not what you're after. You're after running functions on each other, on the outputs of each other. So this will be a really interesting one. Go hit up arrow to go back to that type. It'll bring you back to some previous commands. Let's go to that type print thing. And this time let's run the print function. So inside of the print, hit up arrow, and inside the print function, do what you were trying. No, hit left arrow now, please, and open and close parentheses, and then close them a second time. So what you're doing there is, you didn't give us time to do our active learning here.
My bad.
What is the return value of the print function? This is really important. Go ahead and close your parentheses and then prepare to hit enter, but don't hit enter. Of course, you know what's going to output now, but
Sure.
What is the type of object that print returns?
So even seeing the answer, I'm like, I don't know. So I know that print's a function. I know print's a function, and it's asking me, I'm asking it to tell me the type of the print, what's in the print function.
No.
No.
You're asking it the type of what the print gives you back when you run it. What
Okay.
it returns. Have you seen
Because
a
I have
return
nothing
statement?
in there is telling me there's no type, there's none type.
Good.
Okay.
So put something inside of it and see if it returns anything different when you put something inside the input.
Oops.
I'm going to let somebody else answer this one. Somebody else answer. Close your parentheses twice. Don't forget. And somebody else answer. Do the active learning for Matthew this time. What's it going to print out? What is the type of the return value of the print function when you run it on the input argument with the string hello? Make a guess. There's only a couple guesses that come to mind for most people.
Say string.
Perfect. Eric, really good guess. That's most people's intuition. Hit enter. You're all wrong. It's still a none. It always returns none. What that tells you is none, the print function does not have a return statement. Have you ever done that? Have you ever written a function that didn't have a return statement? Have you played with that when you were writing your own function? Did you always remember to have a return statement? Most people forget. They'll sometimes have an if conditional where they forgot to return something, and they'll have an if where they did return something and an else where they didn't, or something like that. And so this is a really common bug, and so you should know that your function sometimes won't return anything. It'll return none. If you don't return anything, that's what happens. You can return none intentionally. You can say return none, and that will happen. And that's equivalent to just not having a return. So why do we have a function? Most function, almost all functions, all well-defined functions that you type, that you create, they should all return something. They should always return something. Not, they should have no conditional branches that don't return something. Because somebody who calls your function is really surprised if they get none, unless you intended it. So why do we have a function that returns none? Why do we what do we call? I'm trying to lead you to what do you call it when? Okay, here's a good example. So running a function on an object is like running your body's biology on a pill, on an aspirin that you take. Let's say you took an aspirin pill and nothing came out your butt. So there was no output of that function. What do we call all the things that that aspirin did to the world, to your body?
Those are the reactions, the work that
Yeah,
it did.
yeah, but there's some particular kinds of reactions that are unintended. That so maybe it makes you sleepy, or maybe it makes you a
Like
This one's gonna
little
make
side
you
effects.
constipated.
side effects. As Eric got the right answer again. And so we call that in computer science, we call a function that does things outside of what you expected it to do, which is the output that comes out the return value. That is called a side effect. And so something else happened to the world, and that world includes your Python terminal or the what's called the standard output of your program. So the standard output is where all the text goes that you print. And you can also send it to files, and I'll show you how to do that later in the course. But this is the most important side effect, is when you send stuff to the user through a print console. Web applications should never use a print statement because you don't want any side effects happening invisibly on the server where your web program is running. It's really hard to debug a program on a remote server if things are happening invisibly and if you don't know about them. So you have to use a different way. You have to send those characters somewhere else, off the server to some place where you can look at them. Uh, and that's called the logging package. You can import logging and work with that if you ever want to play around with other places to send text, or you want to send them to a file that you can read on the server. Python's a really common language for building web servers. In fact, Instagram was built with Python with a package called Django. And it still is. It's run on Python. People will tell you that Python's not performant, but that's one of the most trafficked, most data intensive, most computationally intensive websites in the world in terms of the amount of throughput it has to handle. And Python is a language of choice for it. So that tells you all you need to know about Python performance. Great. Next person. Matthew, any other questions? Oh, actually, we haven't really answered your question. Let's run one more function. Let's run that type function, or do you have something
I did,
there?
yeah. So my question was how are we passing all of the work of one function into the work of another function. So say we have our
Uh-huh.
um introduction function, so it'll work through here. My question is it feels, at least how I set it up, a bit redundant because I'm asking if you're ready, yes, no. But then in my classified text function, I'm rechecking for the yeses and nos, but they seem very disjointed. They don't seem to work together.
Right. So, where do you think you would like to use your classified text function. So your classified text function takes in a string and it outputs another string of one of three values. So what it does is it kind of changes your string into a predictable string.
Okay.
So where do you think that would be useful to you in your program right now?
I imagine it's going to be useful in my introduction because I'm
Great.
asking
Where
if
in you're exactly right. Where in your introduction would it help you change text to a predictable form?
probably around here.
Exactly, around there. You can replace all of that functionality below 79, between 79 and 80 or whatever that is,
Mhm.
90. You can replace all of that with a single function call to your classified text, and it'll be a much more robust because you'll have used it. It'll work on many more words. So so start day equals,
That's how I did it.
the underscore day is what the way you
That's
spelled it.
why I was like, how did I do it?
And you need to put a tab there. This needs to be inside your introduction function, not outside of it. Perfect. Now start day equals, how do you run your function? Perfect. And what are you going to put as the input argument to your function?
That's where I was getting confused. I don't know what to pass as an input argument. In my
Oh, well,
classified text, I have answer. So I think it's answer or ANS.
great, great. Yeah, but that's just the variable. It could be question, answer, it could be any X, it could be Y, it could be Z.
Okay.
Those are just names. You chose that name to mean something to you. Let's actually change what let's not run the classified text function just to break it up into pieces. Let's not run it all at once. Let's copy and paste line 81 before line 78. So I want you to actually run that line first. I want you to uncomment that line and actually run it. And that should happen before the next line.
81 through what line? I'm sorry?
Just 81.
No, just 81.
Because that's where you're getting the answer from the user. That start day is the answer from the user, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you should probably rename that variable to answer or,
Ah,
or ANS, and then put that line before start day. Great. Now, is it a little more obvious what you need to send to classify text and how you're going to do it?
so I'm asking this question. It's gonna throw it all into ANS. So
Yep,
now start day is I want to take answer and pass it into uh,
perfect.
classified text. And
That's
then now
exactly right.
everything, sorry, you can't see my hand motions, but everything that happens within here will then be passed into start day. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Excellent. Jacob Rippetts, you
Yeah.
are last.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry for making you wait. I think you were early to sign in. Uh, how are things going?
Things are going good with the project and both the learning. I've been using your tips just going in the council of, not council, the terminal, and just trying Python from there and experimenting. I did have one question though that I've been unable to figure it out so far. Um, so
Great.
statements, they come out instantly, usually after or like print statements, they come out like usually exactly after I put an input. Is there any way we can add like ways for Python to wait like real world time, like 5 seconds? I can do print hello and then tell it to wait
Yep.
for like 5 seconds and then another statement comes out.
Yeah, most of the programs you're running in this course are going to be what's called synchronous, which means everything happens in series. Nothing happens in parallel. The let's see, make sure everybody got checked in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Who was that just left? Anyway, I'll check the video. The Oh, that was Matthew. So Matthew, I got Tim, Eric, Matthew, Nathan, Aaron, and Jacob Ricketts. I think I got everybody. Okay, cool. Oh, I'm the fifth. So Jacob, you were asking, could you repeat your question? I confused myself.
Yeah. Is there a way we can have the program to wait before it executes another line of code
You're going to wait for an
rather
amount
than doing
of
it
what?
instantly? Maybe like because I
Perfect.
know how to
So
do
what do you think?
like while
What,
statements,
what do you
but
think the
okay, that's
package is
until
called?
yeah.
What do you think the
Package,
package is called? That
probably
to do,
time.
you got it. So open up your terminal and see if we can import that thing.
Right. Let me share screen. Okay. The terminal.
Yep. Go ahead and launch your console. Doing great.
Mhm. Is it import time?
Do your active learning. You tell me.
I
Perfect. It
think so.
worked. You
Let's
can
see.
another trick, you can use that tab key. If you type T and TI, if you're not 100% sure about, timestamp or time delay or something, you could hit tab and it'll autocomplete for you and go part way for you if there's multiple options. Um, what are you going to do with a module you just imported to explore around and
Help,
figure it out? Great.
help and
Perfect.
something like this. Oh,
Great.
good.
That's the interactive. It's usually pretty verbose. It's not usually the way I like to explore, but it will give you complete information about what's going on. Hit the space bar if you want it to continue and give you more and more information. Hit Q when you're done with all the details of what it is. It looks like there is looks like it works with these things called 9 tuples, 9 integers in order to define times. It's probably going to have what you want in there. So what's another way to explore what's inside the time module?
Or what's just probably running it and see um, what statement would come out.
Yeah, module object is not callable. What does that mean? What is time?
Time. It's a the module object is not
It's a,
callable.
it's it, what type of object is time? If you don't know it, you should use the commands, one of the 4 commands that we use to explore things. Perfect.
Type
Perfect.
time. It is class module.
So make sure whenever you run a command that you think about it first, read it before you execute it, read it hard and try to predict what's going to happen. I was hoping you would tell me the word module or something like that, package or something, before you ran it,
Got it.
so that you could get the learning experience of being correct or wrong. Awesome. Next, what do you do with modules? What did Eric show us you need to do with modules?
Oh, with modules, we need to, it looks like, pass an argument into it, like a function.
Nope. That's what you tried to do. He tried to do that on the print. No, it was the type function. He tried to do it without an argument. We didn't do that on a module name. We did that on an actual function. So this is modules do not require arguments. In fact, they're not callable at all. What does call mean? What does it mean to call something?
To call, I would say like calling a function,
Yeah,
invoking it.
what invoking a function? That's another good word for it. These are all synonyms for what? The word that I've been using earlier in this conversation.
To to run.
Exactly. Those are all synonyms for run. And you run them, or you invoke them, or you call them on arguments or inputs. So time is not something that is callable according to that error message because it's a module. Modules are not callable. Some modules are, I take that back, but it's pretty rare. Most modules are not callable. So what are we going to do with it? What do we do? What's the next character we type after a module name and it is not a parentheses?
Is it a the dot, a period?
Go ahead and start typing it and then just let your fingers do the talking. Perfect. Now, what's the next thing we type after that if we don't know what else to type?
Hmm.
You haven't
We
been hitting it on
do
your. Good.
tab.
Perfect. Now, what are you going to hit now? What do you think that means you need to do?
That
The others did this as
means
well, but somehow they were able to make it work. Hit tab
oh,
twice, fast.
oh, there we go. Oh, nice.
It's you got to be insistent when you want it to print a lot of stuff to the screen. When it can't autocomplete just with an immediate name, it wants you to make sure that you want to clutter your screen with more text. So, because that could be really, really long sometimes. So, type a letter and then hit tab again.
Type a letter and hit tab. Okay.
Tab or double tab. I guess it's not quite refreshing your screen a whole lot, but you can see
Should I zoom
what you
out?
need. You're doing great. I'm just
Okay.
pointing out that it's redisplayed some of the things, sleep, stir F time, strip time, and struct time, but it has left some of the old ones there as well in case you made a mistake. So keep typing and keep tabbing.
Okay.
Use this character the way that you think you need to do to explore this module. Just type stuff. Oh, wow. There's nothing that starts with SA. I'm not sure what's happening. You might want to just hit enter and start over again.
Okay.
Great.
Whoops.
Type,
Got it.
hit enter a
There
few
we go.
times. You can also type, I think CLR might clear your screen. I'm not sure if that's only in, that's actually in the term, or maybe clear. Otherwise, type clear,
Oh,
CLEAR. See,
okay.
perfect. Um, now, let's go back to where we were and keep going. Explore better.
Got it. Press tab. We have a lot of options. It's from alt zone to TZ name. And
Pick one. You were typing it. Great.
okay.
Perfect. It even typed the parentheses for you, or maybe you did that. Uh, Good work. What do you think you're going to put? What do you think you're going to want to take as an argument to this thing? First, what do you think sleep is?
It sounds just like resting. It would wait.
Yeah, but
Like it. Yes.
uh, is it a noun, verb, or gerund, or what is it?
A verb, action word.
It's a verb. It's an action word. It's what do we use verbs for mostly in Python? What type of
Verbs.
object?
Type of object. What
Yeah,
verbs are for? Um,
in
to do
Python.
something in Python?
Exactly. What kind of object do we use to do stuff in Python?
Type of object to do stuff. That would be a
Do we use modules to do stuff? Can we call and
um,
invoke?
I think the module contains things that would do stuff. That's a
Right, but
way to put it.
we don't
Mhm.
directly use it to do stuff. So it's time as a noun, and so that's what we use to name modules. We use the word sleep for a different kind of object. What type of object is it? If you don't know what the type of something is, if you can't guess it, then what's the command we use to figure it out?
Type.
Great. So backspace on that parentheses and use the type function with the left arrow at the beginning of this whole thing to fix that command to figure out what time dot sleep is.
Got it.
Awesome. Hit enter.
It is a built-in function or method.
Great. What is a function or method?
Function or method, it's something we can call or invoke to say you could run like a math equation, x equals 5, where we can put x as a number and we can do like return x, it would be 10.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a function, and so you can run it on stuff, but you need to give it an input argument. So this time, let's do that thing, play with it,
Mhm.
run that thing, do that thing's purpose, and try to guess what you need to put in as an argument, or nothing, as Eric tried on a couple functions, whatever you'd like.
Mhm. Okay, I'll try what happens if I just leave that
Great.
parentheses blank
What's your brain
first.
say is going to happen when you do that?
It would probably put an error that it needs something within the parentheses.
Perfect. That's a great way to find out what you need to do.
Good.
Awesome. Hit up arrow.
Takes one argument.
So hit
Which
up.
arrow?
Now you know you only need to give it one thing. So great. Hit up arrow and let's give it one thing and see what happens.
Got it. Um,
You're going to say hello here. Oh, great. Hit enter. Ooh, nothing's happening. What's going
yeah, this
on?
is okay.
It slept
Hmm.
for 5 seconds. Now that even gives you the units of the number that you just entered. Try to enter a different number of what two types of numbers do we have in Python?
Um, Integers and is it floats, which have the decimal
Perfect.
point?
Perfect. I'd suggest trying to float just to make sure it works with both integers and floats in case you want to stop for half a second rather than a full second or whatever you'd like.
5. Okay.
Perfect.
There
Just to find
you
out,
go.
this is called an edge case. You might want to check to see how it works. Can you think of even more extreme edge cases? Something that's different than a float? What's an extreme float or an extreme or a different category of integer or float?
Um, a
Just enter a different
fraction?
number.
A different number.
Just enter a different number. I'm thinking of an integer or float, but it's one that great, cool. What's
This
that going
one?
to do? I think you
It's
probably
going
predict.
to, yeah, wait for 3.14 seconds, pi seconds.
Perfect. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Uh, don't enter anything extremely large, but enter something that's extremely small for me, please, just to
Got
see
it.
what happens. Even smaller than that.
Even small. Okay.
Okay, you can go and hit
Perfect.
enter and see what happens. Python can
This is
handle really, really small numbers, no problem. The one you want to check out is one that's just the other side of that.
negative.
Yeah, that'd be good. You also want to check zero itself. Those are really common edge cases that you want to check functions on, especially your own functions, to make sure they work or at least output some useful error message. Negative zero. Wow, that's a special weird one. You
Negative
can.
zero.
I usually try zero and -1, but you can. I would try -1 before you give up and make sure just to make sure you fully have characterized what this function does and you fully understand what it does.
Got it.
Hit enter.
I'm predicting an error for negative
Good.
one. I'll see.
That's surprising. -0 didn't give you an error, but -1 did.
Yeah.
Cool. But you
Well,
understand it.
Mhm.
aren't negative zero and zero the same thing?
Understand.
Um, probably there's a proof in algebra somewhere that says exactly what you just said, but um, and computer science, you never know that it obeys our intuitive laws of math because it doesn't know what numbers are, and we just it only has a few bits to do a lot of ands and ors on individual bits to come up with all the math operations. There's some numbers. They're different. There are some. This is a interesting one. There's some special numbers in math, and we've learned how to represent them in computers. Can you think of any really super big numbers?
Infinity?
Great. Do you know how we might represent infinity? Would it be first off, would it be a float or an integer, do you think?
Um, Probably a float.
Great. It's a type float. Type float, please. Open your parentheses. And let's give it something that you think it might be able to convert to infinity.
I don't know. So a
There's
super
not a
large number.
Oh, cool. I would use that as an exponent to, I would use a representation like 1e, something. Oh, there you go. That's a good way to do it. So give it another big exponent and close parentheses. This will be interesting to see if it can handle numbers like that. Hit enter. You're asking it to do a lot of operations there. And those operations are gobbling up your memory. And I would hit Control C pretty quickly now before it
Got it.
crashes your computer. So
Okay.
that's not the way to represent infinity. That's the way to represent a really, really big number that's larger than the diameter of the universe. Um, or the time you have in the universe to compute anything. Uh, you got to be real careful with exponents. Um, Float can convert strings into integers. So type float again, open parentheses, give it a string that you think it can figure out a number for.
Hi. Hi.
That's not a string, that's a variable name. It does exist. It exists in the math package. But yeah, okay, cool. Hit enter.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it doesn't have that built into its string parsing library. But give it something that contains something that would be obvious to it, what number it is. Okay, it's not going to be quite. Go ahead and hit it. You're close. Wow,
If INF.
you actually worked. I learned something today. I thought it would interpret that as INF. I thought the only word that it understood would be exactly that word string INF. I had no idea. Turns out there's also a negative infinity and a positive infinity. And there's also a special number called not a number or nan. And all of those will be understood by Python as strings. The other things you could put inside of that quotes are things like 1e10 or 1e9 for a billion, or 1e12 for a trillion. So exponential note, but you can do it in quotes as well, I think.
Oh, yes, it works in quotes.
So you can put digits inside of it, and you can do those different representations. There's also a function called hex that might work on some numbers. Ooh! Now
It's
you're asking,
zero.
wait,
Oh,
before it can actually run that function, it has to evaluate what's inside the parentheses. So it tries to divide one by a string. There are some operations you can do some arithmetic you can do between strings and numbers, but division is not one of them, especially when the string is in the denominator. So can you give me one string math operation? So string and a number that let's not try to turn it into a float though. Let's just do it bare on the console. So type a string and a number and put a math operation between them.
String and a number and a math operation between them. Okay.
Right. Just like you did before, but you probably want to type the string first and the number second. And you probably want to use something other than um, division. What do you think would be something? Okay. I don't think that's going to be interpretable. Oh, interesting. That's not something the parser could easily process going from left to right because it's going to try to add an integer to a string. That's going to be the first thing it does going left to right. And it doesn't know how to do that because it doesn't know whether you want to add the digit 7 to it or you want to add 7 empty strings to it or 7 characters to it. You can do something, put a plus sign between there, that 7 and the apples, please.
Yes.
And also change the first plus to another operation, not division, not plus. Pick something else. Not subtraction either. Addition and subtraction don't work on strings with integers. What would be something natural to do? Like you were trying to say 7 apples. What if you were trying to say 7 I halves?
Multiply.
Give it a shot. Let your fingers do the talking. Hit enter.
Enter. Got it. Okay. I have. Have I? Oh, it's I have. Apples.
7 times plus the string apples. So plus works on string to string, and multiplication works on string to integer. But multiplication and addition are the only things I know of that work with strings in any place of the either side of the operation. Great, learned a lot. Play, get playful, have fun.
Will do.
Any questions? And can I use your video?
Oh, yes, of course.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions, Nathan, Eric, before we
Yeah, I
call it a
have
night?
one question. So I noticed when he was doing the time dot tab, some of the functions had like closed parentheses and some didn't. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, the parentheses are meant to indicate that it's a function, that it needs parentheses to work, to do its job.
Okay.
Without
Well,
parentheses, it's probably a number or a string like you found in the string package.
okay.
But that's just my guess based on my having done this a lot. You develop your own guesses just by
Okay.
playing around. Your eyes will develop their own intuition about what's going on.
Gotcha.
Python tries to be readable, tries to be intuitive, tries to do things consistently so that you can have as few things to read and get a lot of information out of it fast. Awesome. Have a great day.
I just one more thing. I'm going to be out of town at the beginning of next week, so I may or may not be able to check in.
No worries. You're good. You've checked in for the last half of the until after spring break. I may only have one more check-in before the end of the course.
Okay.
So
Bummer,
you're
because
good.
I learn a lot during these. So
Oh, good. I'm here every Monday, but you don't have to be.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Awesome.
See ya.
Y'all have a
Thank you,
good
guys.
one.
Thank you very much.
You too, Jacob, Nathan.